YouTube, MJ here with a brand new review as well as trying out a new camera. Well, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully you guys like the new videos. We'll see how the camera angles all work out. And today we're going to start off with Soundwave. But not this Soundwave. This Soundwave is just here because of size comparison and what he represents. Actually, we're going to be starting off reviewing today with this Soundwave. Get a nice view back. And that's going to be the Takara Masterpiece 13 Soundwave. So you can see from the original Soundwave, he's gotten about a half an inch taller, about an inch wider, and then about doubled in depth. We'll set the original aside so it doesn't feel bad, and we'll take a look at Soundwave in alternate mode. As you can see, colors on him, he's got a dark blue, a nice metallic old purple and white Decepticon silver throughout, a lighter metallic blue, and then chrome for the buttons. Interactive, in this mode, the fast forward and rewind buttons can push in, power button slides, audio knob can rotate. He's got an audio jack, sadly, that doesn't fit actually audio cassettes. From the back, he's really kind of kibbly. And actually, I'll show something quick. One of his accessories does actually store in the back. It just plugs in back here. So it is pretty kibbly. The original was cleaner. A lot of it's due to the chest gimmick, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So we'll just pop this off and set it aside for now. And then, of course, the one that really matters to everybody. Push the button, and he ejects his cassettes. Now, we'll use this as a chance to show this off. As you can see, it doesn't look like it's that deep right now, but actually it's on a sliding mechanism. So if you push your finger in here, you can slide in, and there's 3 different locking points to slide that back piece in to enable you to fit up to 3 cassettes inside Soundwave. And then what you do is as you load the cassettes, there is a button on the back. You push it down, and that will stagger the launches and push them forward. So that way after you launch each cassette, you come around, you push the button, it'll push the next cassette into launching position. Now we're going to set Soundwave aside for now and take a look at his little buddy, because I think that's going to be a better place to start. And give me just a second. Here's the original Generation 1 Laserbeak in cassette mode. So as you can see, they are the same height, just about the same width, and the holes even line up when you go line them up together. So your Generation 1s and your Masterpieces will look really nice together. Like I'm going to have a just full-on out cassette display surrounding Soundwave. Part of that is to also hide something that I don't like on the mold that I'll get into in a second. So again, we'll quick pop Generation 1 Soundwave into his Condor mode. And I'm doing this for a reason. Plug in his backpack, and then we'll set him aside. Now this is probably one of the coolest features of the Masterpiece 13 mold for me, is the actual Soundwave cassette. And what we're going to do with him, first thing you want to do is come around. There's a little groove here in this dead center. Push that in with your nail. That'll slide out the beak, and then you can just grab the beak and pull it forward. Come around on the other side. This little section here, you're going to want to push backwards. Do the same on both sides, and what that's going to do is bring up and lock in his jetpack. Again, that enormous separate piece on the original Generation 1 one is stored in the Masterpiece beautifully. Come forward, flip open the wings, and rotate them down. Grab this whole back section and pull it down just a little ways, and then rotate the feet into the position you like them in. Traditionally, if you're going to want to look at it from Generation 1 perspective, cartoon-wise, go straight, and he does have that very jet bird mode look from the original cartoon. He's pretty much spot on to his cartoon representation. and I love that. Articulation on him is actually very impressive for his size. You have a 90-degree, basically a 90-degree hip, 360-degree rotation at the foot due to transformation on both of those. Wings can go forward, again because of transformation, as well as double jointed, again because of transformation, but that's okay. Because that does give you kind of the ability to give him a more nesting look. Neck has pretty much just over a 90-degree bend at the body, about 5 degrees up at the neck, and then about 90 degrees down. And then one last bit of articulation. If you come around, you can see there's a little gunmetal spot on the head. Push down the back part of that with your nail and pull up, and then you have his little spy camera locked in for him spying. Color detailing on him, you have a metallic silver, which looks really nice. Red throughout to represent that it's Laserbeak. Buzzsaw will be a goldish orange, I believe. Gold for the eyes, as well as gunmetal for the beak. As you can see, he's actually looks far more elegant and small than his original counterpart, even though they started off as the same size Transformer. Alright, so as much as I love Laserbeak, we're going to set him aside until Soundwave is in robot mode and get on to the main attraction that everybody's looking for. And here he is, Soundwave. His transformation is actually very intuitive, pretty easy. It's very reminiscent of kind of how Masterpiece Grimlock was a refinement of its original form to really represent a masterpiece. I do have a few issues with this mold in general, which we'll get into once he's in robot mode, and we'll go from there. So what you're going to do is take your finger and just go right above the play button, and slide that whole section down. From there, rotate it out 90 degrees, and bend in the panels. Fold those down, lock in, and then back and lock in, and that's going to create your waist piece on Soundwave. From there, turn them onto the side. Then you're going to want to grab just about where this is, and then slowly rotate out, and then pull that piece out, rotating it as you go, and then straighten it out. From there, grab this entire stereo side section, and then flip it out, and you're going to want to just go straight up with it, and that's going to become Soundwave's feet. From there, just like the original Generation 1 toy, flip it around, straighten out. This time you're going to want to pull to extend the legs, rotate the legs forward, flip the feet, and finally condense down the last piece to give him the finished robot mode leg. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Unlock that piece, fold it forward, rotate it around, rotate the feet forward, and I guess you can flip these down now if you really want to as well. And then again, just separate it down, just like the original Generation 1 Soundwave. Rotate it, and make sure that panel is the flat side facing the inner leg. And there you have Soundwave's lower torso. Upper torso, even easier. Grab both side panels, flip them forward. Come around, there's going to be a little flap on the back of the shoulder. Each shoulder, flip that down. Separate off this side's battery piece, which will become his handgun. We'll get into the other one in just a second. Come over to the other side. Grab this flap, rotate out the hand, and close her up. And then come around to the back, flip open the panel on the back to reveal his head. And there you have Masterpiece Soundwave in robot mode. Now I'm going to cover one accessory quick because I don't care about the accessory that much. It's there, and this is the easiest way to show it off. And that was that piece that we popped off the back end earlier. What you're going to do is there's 2 grooves on that, and then there's 2 slots in his hand. You just plug those into his hand, and you have his gun. Again, it's a nice addition, but not necessary. So we'll finish opening up his hand and reveal that. Close it up. And let's take a look at paint apps. Are pretty much identical to what we saw before. There is a little more silver visible. In addition, you're also going to encounter some red detailing here, red striping. He has got a chrome red visor, which I will try to give you a nice good shot of. I will say the head, I really am in love with the way the head looks on him. It just screams the cartoon, invokes the cartoon so much to me. I love, actually, the upper body in general on this figure, I absolutely adore. Alright, so, articulation on him. Can look up a little over 45 degrees. Look down about 5. Has a 360 degree rotation. Going over to the shoulders, he can rotate 360 degrees around. Swing out about 90 degrees at the shoulder. Beautiful bit of engineering. They have it on a peg joint system, so that way it shows gears when he actually swings outward. It's not just a ball joint, it's not hinged or anything like that. Now, in addition to that, you also get another outward swing joint right below the shoulder, as well as a 360 degree rotation there. Double jointed elbow to get pretty much a perfect 90 degree bend. 360 degree rotation at the wrist. Fingers are just like Masterpiece 10s. You have these 3 secondary fingers as one on one joint and a separate piece. A base joint finger for the index finger, and then a center joint finger. And all of the articulation in the arms is simply for Soundwave just to be able to finally push his own button. It's actually very important to me that he could do that in the Masterpiece figure, so actually I'm very happy about that. So we'll close him back up. Now, so articulation that's only going to show up on this one side is if you come around to the other battery compartment, that swings out and is on a couple of jointed systems, so you have a pin joint here, pin joint and swivel joint here, and then a rotation joint there to enable his shoulder cannon to actually go a variety of different posability options, as well as the traditional lock it in like the Generation 1 one and just rotate from side to side. I think it's a great touch. It gives it a little more play value and connection. He has a 360 degree waist rotation. And this is where it goes from I'm very much in love with this figure to I feel like they could have designed some things better. And that's going to be at the hips. Now the hips are designed that they connect up here for a rotation joint, as you can see, so the hips can all rotate at that point. And then there is a swivel joint here that enables the leg to go outward for transformation and for posability, which is basically the inner part is connected to the leg that's going to go out, and then the 2 hemispheres on the other side to actually secure it in. But that inner piece then connects to another small section right here, which is perpendicularly, so it's just that little tiny cross section that's going to give you your actual hip joint that goes forward, and that's on a very tight ratchet. And the way that's connected bothers me. And also for a couple of reasons. You can't bend his leg back at all on this figure. You can go forward the full 90 degrees, however it looks very, very awkward. Had they been able to put this rotation joint in the actual blue part of Soundwave up here, yes, you would have gotten less forward rotation on it, but you would have gotten a substantial amount more back rotation, or any, as well as it would have looked more elegant for Soundwave. And it would have enabled the knee to do something else too, which I'm going to show off quickly. As it stands, the knee has a 90-degree bend, which is pretty much all you would really need. However, had they done what I suggested there, this part could have been actually rotated and connected, so this, your front would look like this instead of, which this does give you more of that toy look that had the slot in the middle, but then it would have given, that rotation could have given you a double jointed knee due to one of the articulation points for transformation. It's a minor nitpick, but it just doesn't look elegant, and I feel like they could have done much better with the hips on him. Alright, from there, there's one last bit of articulation, and that's going to be the feet. I know the feet are a big point of contention with a lot of people, and there's something that I'm really not totally comfortable with as well. They are die-cast on Soundwave, which is nice. So that way when you set him down, he is planted. However, the way his jointing works is he's on a pin joint here for rotation, one at the end of that, and then he's got a third one in there as well, and then the forward rotation for transformation. Which what that'll enable you to do is if you go with a splayed stance, you can bend them to be level. You can even technically bend his legs if you want to have him moonwalking or doing the moonwalker leaning sideways. And oddly enough, just because I think it's fun, the fact that he can do that is fairly impressive considering all of his weight, except for those little feet, is leaning. But I would have really loved to have seen just a rotation at the ankle, so that way he could be, all that pivoting could actually be done at a different angle. Though I guess because you can't really go backward with the legs and the forward rotation looks kind of awkward, it's not going to really matter that much. But it's something with a $190 toy I would really like to have seen. Alright, so now we're going to get into the substantial amount of accessories. We'll start off with Soundwave's most notable hand weapon, which is going to be the battery. What you're going to do with that is grab the battery, slide it forward. Now if you come into this little channel, there is you can see a little box there. What you're going to want to do is try to wriggle a nail in under that little box. And then you're going to, once the nail's in, you're going to wriggle that down and pull it backwards, which is going to bring out a little chrome tip. From there, grab the tip, slide it out, and that's going to lock in your gun. And then that little box that you connect it to is actually going to be the peg to place it into Soundwave's hand. When you go into his hand, he's got a little groove cut in. So then you can just pop that right in the groove. So he'll hold it either way, even with his hand wide open. And then just fold it up the way you want to display it. I'll put that aside. Now he does come with another gun, besides just that weird little laser that I can only think of 1 or 2 episodes I remember seeing that in. And that is a scaled down version of the Masterpiece 01 Megatron gun. As you can see, the silencer as well as the scope are still removable. And then in addition to that, if you come down into the stock, they've added a new peg in here that will allow you the gun handle to rotate down as well as rotate back so it's out of the way, and along with the sliding mechanism on that. I think it's a nice touch. It feels a lot more stable than the original that I know personally I had a lot of issues with it breaking. And then you just slide it down, bring it into Soundwave's hand, close it up, and there you have Soundwave holding his master. Personally, I see this, a lot of people using this particular accessory a lot more with like Masterpiece 11 or Masterpiece 03, but it's still really cool that it was included. Now from there, we'll move on to the biggest accessory, physically largest. It's also one of the simplest, and that is going to be this little plastic box he comes with. Now, as we all know, it's an Energon, supposed to represent an Energon cube. I do believe there is a paper craft for this Soundwave to turn this into the Energon cube colored item. But what you have is just a clear plastic box. 5 of the sides are one piece, and then the bottom is an additional piece that can pop off. And that pops off so that way it can interact with this clear piece that's included. Now, as you can see, when I put it in front of Soundwave, it is a clear piece of gridded plastic, and then it's got grid lines on it, as well as the buttons and the framework of his actual cassette hatch. And this is to represent when he creates an Energon cube. So what you're going to do is, on the one side, it is just channeled out. So you just pop it into his chest, and Soundwave now is ready to make Energon cubes. And then just take that piece where you popped off the bottom, pop it in, and now he is making Energon cubes. Again, it's just a very nice accessory that evokes something from the show, which I think is really cool. And now the accessory that is most important that he interacts with, his little buddy. Now there's 2 ways to interact with Laserbeak. Both use the same feature. Laserbeak has a little groove in each of his feet, which will enable him to lock in friction to 2 places. Number 1 is on these 4 channeled pieces up on the top of Soundwave, so which he just plugs in there. Looks like Soundwave's chilling on his shoulder like a parrot. I personally, it's there, but I don't really like it. More important to me is, if you can see when I rotate the camera a little bit, there is a translucent piece plastic tab that comes out of Soundwave's arm. And I love the fact that it's translucent because a lot of times you will miss that it's there, but also it enables you to again take Laserbeak and pop him into that groove on his foot. And then Laserbeak can attach to his arm, and he'll hold in just about any position. But for me, the most important one is for him and Soundwave to hold a conversation. Which, honestly, again, from the waist up, this looks beautiful. And it's a right toy. Now, the question here, before I get into size comparisons, and I'm going to address this now while I quickly transform the original Soundwave, is price point on this guy. Current going prices, if you want to order him on most online retailers, is $190. If you pre-ordered early, a lot of people have locked in at around the $160 to $170 price point, which $160 and $170 I would feel comfortable getting Soundwave with. At $190, with there being rumors, from what I've heard, of a possible Christmas time US release, I would say wait for the US release, because he does have some parts that, like I said, feel a little shaky on mine, but see if it's common, or maybe it is a very strong plastic, it's just a very thin joint. But price point wise at $190, I just don't see as much of value. Now size comparison wise, as you can see, even though they were very close in cassette mode, he is substantially larger than Soundwave in robot mode. For a Masterpiece comparison, there he is with Masterpiece Grimlock, and actually in Masterpiece Grimlock's dinosaur mode, they are about the same height. Masterpiece Black Convoy. As you can see, Masterpiece 10 is actually probably almost a good head taller than Masterpiece Soundwave, which is another reason that price point kind of has me shaky. And we'll do it with one quick, more classic style figure. Here he is with Toy World Hegemon Megatron. And actually, oddly enough, that size really doesn't bother me for some reason. And I think they look kind of nice together. So as far as picking him up, you're most likely watching this review because you really like Soundwave, and you've already made your decision on him. If you are on the fence, I'm not going to be able to help you with that decision, because I would probably say wait for the US release. I'm pretty sure it's inevitable because of Soundwave's popularity, and just because what I've heard from the people I've talked to. If you really love Soundwave, you're going to want this no matter what. And which is part of the reason that I got it. Even though prior I thought the legs still looked kind of odd, is because I wanted him because I really love Soundwave. His cassettes are coming out later this year around March, which really has me pumped to go through and get a whole fleet of cassettes for Soundwave to be surrounded by, which actually is kind of nice for me because it enables me to hide the feet that I didn't like. So if you have him on pre-order already, I think you'll be happy with it because you've gotten locked into a good price. If you haven't ordered him yet, see if you can interact with somebody else's and see how you feel about him in hand. He feels like a great toy. He just doesn't feel like a $190 masterpiece toy to me. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully I wasn't too nitpicky with it, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Have a good day.